Here we go. Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending April 8th, 2018. This is episode 261, where we talk about all things smart building controls and HVAC controls. But hey, what would a conversation be without the smartest guy in the room? The man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only controls guy. Tango dancing man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Kenny Smyers. Welcome to the show, Big Dog.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. Always great to be here. Smartest guy in the room. Heck, we'd have to throw in Brian Klein or Phil Zito or James Johnson or all those incredible, really truly bright people. They're the brightest people.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing, man. Is there are a lot of bright people in our industry, and if you're a Control Trends watcher. You probably noticed we didn't have a show last week. Kenny and I were all teed up to do it, had a guest and everything, and our wives intervened. And we're calling last week the Easter intervention. They told us we were out of our minds to do something on Easter and Passover weekend, so we listened to our wives like good husbands do. And but we're coming back now. There's no holidays now. We're just rocking and rolling.
You're coming back with a mischievous mind. You have a couple of things up your sleeve that will make up for the lost time, I think.
I tell you what, I don't know about that, but we did miss a couple of things, right? So first of all, Kenny, how was last weekend for you? How was your Easter?
It was very nice. The weather is not cooperating. We did another 3 inches of snow this morning. In fact, that's where I was doing right before I came to the computer mic and the setup here was that. What's going on? I mean, hey, April, knock it off. We want some sun. We want to get into the golf mode that normally begins with Easter. That's normally the mark on the calendar that says good weather begins here, but it didn't happen. It's very persistent. And, but it was a very nice, comfortable, relaxing weekend.
Now, look, if you go to Twitter, Donald Trump's been tweeting that he in his first term has already solved the global warming problem.
Nice. Good work.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh is.
We're last to get it.
Probably like a little global warming, wouldn't you? Right about now.
Well, it's a trickle down type thing. It'll go to California first, then New York, Boston, Philly. Then it'll go to Chicago, then St. Louis, then Dallas, and Fort Worth. Yeah. Then it'll hit off, San Diego, bounce back, hit Atlanta square, give you guys the best delivery, and then. About the fourth time it bounces back off the East Coast, West Coast wall. It'll land at Pittsburgh, and we'll have our share.
Right. We'll get it. We'll get it for sure. But the warm weather will come. And while we were gone, Axel B., my son, had his third birthday, March 31st. So
congratulations.
Had a big birthday with him. And listen, Kenny, as you know, we keep up with all the trends, and we have sort of in-field reporters all over. We have some connections in Silicon Valley. And the big news that we got, Kenny, and it came out April 1st this year. It's very important to know that we got this message on April 1st, that one of the companies named after a fruit, is entering the race to the small space and is coming out with a new thermostat that will be available April 1st, 2020. And Kenny, apparently, from what our sources tell us, this company listens to Control Talk now, has been tracking the trends, and also listening to Ken Sinclair a lot when he comes on. So they've taken those ideas, they're bundling it up into a new stat called the Invisible Stat, which will also be known as the I stat. Now, this is a very, very interesting thermostat concept, Kenny, because it's using all kinds of stuff that we talk about on the show. It's using voice recognition. It's using, nanotechnology. And dude, apparently, you open this thing up and it's self-configuring. It's all using Wi-Fi. So apparently it'll find the optimal spot on your wall at your home or your business okay, for getting the best temperature sensing and all. Again, it's invisible stat, so apparently it works with any decor you want. And it's got adaptive temperature control, Kenny, but a little bit different approach than I've ever heard of before. And apparently what it will do is it tracks the sun, and as the sun moves, your stat will automatically move along your wall to get optimal temperature sensing. Okay.
Wow.
So now apparently in some of the prototypes, one of the challenges with that is you can actually lose your thermostat, right? So they have a thing called Marco Polo mode. And with Marco Polo mode, you just basically say Marco, the thermostat will say Polo, and you know exactly where it is, which I think is a pretty cool feature. It's very sustainable. As a matter of fact, I think once ASHRAE gets hold of this, they'll probably rewrite the standards that they have. It's kind of an old school stat. They're taking the best of old school and new school. So basically, it sort of has like a conservation mode. So if you say to your stat using voice recognition, I'm cold, the stat will respond and say, you whip, you're not cold, save money, be tough, that kind of
Suck
stuff.
it up.
Suck it up, yeah. And
Put a
you
sweater on.
And yeah, depending on how tough you are, you can have shaming mode. It goes through different things to like coddling through, being too hot or too cold, or shaming mode. So that was a pretty cool feature as well. Now, my favorite feature, Kenny, and again, they have a bug with this, is they have vanity mode. So again, we all need positive encouragement. So apparently what this stat will do, Kenny, is you can say thermostat on the wall, who's the fairest one of the all, and it'll say your name. But unfortunately, according to our sources in Silicon Valley, anytime they ask the thermostat that, it says Ken Smyers, the man, the myth, the legend. So apparently the thermostat is self-aware, okay, self-learning, and it knows that you're the fairest one in the land. So I think this stat is
on me. I think this thermostat okay. First of all, how much does it cost? The way it gets into the market, it's got to be effective. It's got to have, it's got to give a good return on its investment. It's got to deliver the goods. You can't just have these neat features and have, expect market dominance, but putting anything to do with me in there is going to have it's a flawed marketing approach. So
no, but they're using artificial and self-learning algorithms. That's my point, Kenny. They've been listening, like, Ken Sinclair, they want the voice activated mode. They picked up on that, through EasyIO and Steve Galizzium and those guys. It's a small footprint. Okay. So they call it the invisible set. Apparently you can't see this thing, right? And it moves along your wall. But what I'm getting at is, apparently, I guess they're feeding data. They have the thermostat is, I guess, part of the self-learning is they have to watch the show every week. And that's how the thermostat is sort of learning. So,
that's where it gets its power.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They got to fix that glitch. So, and I'm going to be the first to say it, Ken is, he is the man, the myth, the legend, fairest in the land, but they got to fix that glitch if it's going to be marketable, because nobody wants to go up to a vanity stat and say vanity mode and say who's the fairest on the wall. It says Ken Smyers.
Well, then you get those privacy issues too.
Well, they do have the privacy issues, but again, the fact of the matter is, since you can't see the thermostat, apparently it's kind of like the Johnson glass stat, except for you don't see anything here.
That's amazing.
Self-wiring, self-configuring. I don't think they have a price point on it yet. Again, it's due out April 1st, 2020.
Well, we need to keep on top of that. Seems like that's definitely a trending technology that we need to know more about.
We do. So if that fruit company wants to reach out, or if you want to reach out and talk more about the iStat, the invisible stat that will be coming out April 1st, 2020, then please let us know. Because I tell you what, April 1st, one of my favorite days, Kenny, a lot of people call it April Fool's Day. Apparently Easter fell on April Fool's Day for the first time in our lifetime, Kenny. So it's a big year. So anyway, that's the big news out of Silicon Valley. Josh Bradshaw, Therese Sullivan, surprised you guys didn't get this, but hey, maybe you guys can dig in and help us figure this thing out. So I think Rick Lisa from Intel was very, very upset that Intel didn't get in first on this. But hey, there's going to be a new sheriff in town in 2020. The race to the small space is all but over.
Wow, man, that is good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, buddy. All right. Well, what did you have? You got any shout outs this week or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I do. I have the first one and foremost was the visit to 449. Got a chance to see the Innovation Technology Center in Zillionople, Pennsylvania, not far from Pittsburgh. It's actually in a midpoint between like Erie and Pittsburgh and some of the other major demographic areas where it serves as a very middle point. And this facility started out, I'd say around it was 20 mil. The governor Wolf from Pennsylvania came to the grand opening, and instead of cutting a ribbon, they cut a pipe. It was kind of neat. We actually had a video on that. Roger Rebenak from Honeywell, when he was with Honeywell, came. We had some other dignitaries and in our industry, dignitaries, VIPs, so to speak. So, they now have added more of the internal, stuff. The classroom settings are amazing, and they invite everybody to bring their training there, and they'll host it at no charge because then their members, benefit from that. But then there's this operational side where they have 4 or 5 chillers there. The York, Train, Daikin, and these things are really powered, up. They got water coming through them, and then they can practice I don't want to say practice, but they can train and learn on real live loads. I get it. And you can see, inside their training facility, you can see the refrigerant, like for a heat pump, it's just, actually see things, through the, in a kind of a mode. Is an extraordinary learning experience. So we'll keep posting on that, but we want to just give them a shout out that they've done a great job. And
you did a little video of it, didn't you?
I sure did.
I think I got that footage. What do you say we run the footage?
Yep, just a little bit.
Hi, this is Ken Smyers with Control Trends. I'm here with Tim Takis, an instructor here at the 449 Innovation Technology Center in Zillionople. Tim, you guys have made a lot of upgrades to your training area. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on here.
Hey Ken, we got a training TV we just installed yesterday. We got where the students can be around the computer lab and all the controls area and be able to watch what's going on the programming end. What's happening in the controls.
You actually have the training center right here. The students, the people in training can actually turn on equipment out there in your other area, right?
Right. They can program from here, turn on equipment in the other area, monitor controls in the other area, monitor the controls on our training wall.
It's a fabulous facility. I just want to get everybody to Control Trends to see. We always talk about getting people online with controls and getting everybody up to speed with new technology, and this certainly brings that to bear. The 449 Innovation Center here near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's actually the Zillionople training facility. I saw the inside, the actual, the classroom side of it. Now we're out here in the actual installation side. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
We have the 4th or 3rd year guys here. They're piping in the controller, the AX controller for the chillers. We've got the Daikin chiller and the Train chiller here. We got pump control, tower control, and the Honeywell valving. We're going through the tank or the tower, depending on temperatures.
Right.
And we're going to maintain our chill waters. We can also got a runaround pump here that's going to take the water to our building controls, be able to heat and cool the building off of our chillers when playing with them out here in the lab.
Fantastic. So the training basically gives you the book learning stuff, and then you actually play with the computer with the program, and then you come out here and you actually see it take on loads and really truly operate the equipment.
Live operating loads and operating equipment.
Well, it's an amazing facility. Keep up the good work, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Well done, Kenny Smyers. That's why you're the man to meet the legend, man. In the field with Kenny Smyers. So, again, if you want to be an in-the-field reporter for Control Trend, just send us your video stuff. We'll put it up and get it going. I think we have another episode from Aaron Gorka a little bit later in the show. So, Kenny, but, we missed a couple of weeks, so we have a lot going on Control Trends. Let's hit some of the posts.
We sure did. Well, the first one was, again, to go to episode 261 episodes. That's pretty good, Eric.
Not bad, buddy.
I'm proud of you. It was the Hello Haystack community. This is an invitation to Project Sandstar Working Group. And this is our friend Alper Olsmeisler. I'm sorry. Alper, I'll get that right one of these days. But Alper has put a lot of work into Sandstar. And this is a project that it's an open source which merges Haystack with Sedona. And the way they merge Haystack with Sedona improves the process of tagging points and implementing controls and control strategies. So there's an abstract on there about Project Sandstar. The background, again, it integrates Sandstar engine, Haystack, and Sedona into a seamless whole. And then it goes into what you'd expect from an abstract. It goes into the methods, results, conclusions, and an invitation. So they want the smart people out there that are interested in this, that have vested interest in it, to please join up with these Project Haystack folks and contribute, and then enjoy the spoil. See, so what I understand with this open source stuff, the end result is that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. Is so if you have good ideas, and we've got, I guess, folks from Europe, across North America, throwing ideas into this big pool, and then from there you can extract what services your best needs. So great concept. Good luck.
It is a great concept. And you can go back a couple episodes ago. We had Alper was actually a guest on the show, and he actually goes through this Project Sandstar, does a great demonstration for us. So go back, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, Kenny. We'll put a link in the show notes for that so that people can see that. Definitely worth checking out. Alper is one of the bright young minds in our industry and really doing some great stuff. So good job, Alper. Keep it up. And of course, Haystack, I tell you what, man, that's the new currency we're all going to be trading on. And so good stuff there. So that Haystack just keeps on rolling. And shout out to our friend Marcus Peacock, who is involved with that, along with John Betsy and many others. So keep it going, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Great. We got another post coming up on that too. Next up, Eric, we had Optergy, smartphone application data.
All right, before we even get into this, do you think that Stevie G, out of all the people, because he is so innovative, I think he is going to be devastated by the alleged iStat. What do you think?
Well, I think he's going to be an innovator. He's going to find out what technology they have available, and he's going to absorb it into his great stuff and just improve it. I mean, let's face it, the new
That's
collaboration
what the greats
style,
do, right, Kenny? That's what the greats do.
Well, it's co-opetition, Eric. Remember,
right?
Make the market bigger.
But he does have some cool stuff here, Stevie G. So tell us about this, Kenny Smyers.
Well, Optergy is really making inroads. I've seen him coming through on different channels with different people, different customers are now interested. And so what's happening is that this Optergy is getting more prolific with the IoT of things. So what they really believe in is that there's a simpler way to enable all the features of the building automation systems, and so they've reduced it in scope and size, but the formidability is still there. So the application has a lot of cool features that offer value-added solutions that include multi-site integration, user configurable site data boards, after-hours override, on-demand scheduled, energy monitoring and reporting, trending data, backnet points for the set point adjustments or whatever, and monitoring, alarms and banner notifications with acknowledgements. They create maintenance tickets, mass notification, app users, and weather data ongoing. So it's very simple, easy, fast, with incredible capabilities. So well done, Steve Guzalimian and the team at Optergy.
Well done, guys. Well done. All right, Kenny Smyers. I tell you what, before we go to our next post, what do you say we bring our infield reporter on, Aaron Gorka, with Aaron's unique interview? So let's roll that tape right now.
Gorka here, young gun with Ant Technologies. So, we've made our way all the way down to Uruguay. All right, the Ant call is expanding everywhere. I got Mike Sibbins here, our sales executivo. Right, we've been doing a lot of practice here, and we're going to ask him a couple questions. Mike, how's Uruguay been so far?
It's definitely a beautiful place. I don't think I expected everything that it is. It's definitely a completely different part of the world, but it's cool, and everyone's very easygoing here, so it's been good.
It's safe. This is not a third world country. This is a big, beautiful city, just like in the U.S. or Toronto, for example. Older, really, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Everyone's very easygoing. It's everyone doesn't mind helping out. There's lots of cranes up, so that means they're building lots. Right along the coastline. It just goes on and on with condos, and units and work going on. So there's definitely lots of opportunity here for tons of business.
Yeah, that's what when we were driving down and around. We were shocked at how many condos there were, and then how many contractors there must be down here. What are you most excited about?
I'd probably have to say just getting out of my comfort zone. I think the language barrier is definitely the most challenging part about being down here, is most people speak Spanish. But there are a lot of people that are very happy to communicate and work with us with, hand gestures and practice their own English, and then Google Translate helps a long way. So it's definitely learning a new language and kind of just getting completely out of Canada and North America and trying something new.
Yeah, I think you're going to do a real good job. We've had some fun throughout all this, these couple days. Found an Irish pub in town, right? So everybody here knows that that's always a good spot to be. Have amazing musicians here. What's our plan? Like, why don't you tell them kind of what our strategy is in a brand new world?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, basically, we're going to be following the same structure as what we have in North America. We've built a relationship up with a distributor and contractor down here, ISI Controls. We met them at KMC a couple of years back now, and we've been working with Ramiro. So we're going to be working with him. We're going to be working with some local universities to build up some relations with the contractors locally through, regular sales flow. And from there, I mean, we'll be meeting with the embassy, and through that and ISI and the interns, we'll be basically settling in and building the ant colony down in South America the exact same we've been doing across North America.
Yeah, I think it's going to work too that way. The university, the relationships with the university, I mean, that's how you got a job, how we met each other in the first place. This is the goal for the young guns. Ken Sinclair challenged us, and, we're doing it with them. So, what else are you doing down here to learn Spanish?
We've definitely explored some dating apps. I think nowadays apps are the best way to go. There's not as many friend-finding apps as there are dating apps like Tinder, most of you probably know of. So I've been reaching out to, any matches and kind of just, instead of going for, the dating scenario, just actually making friends and meeting with them, using Google Translate to just talk full Spanish with them in conversation, and then, planning out just some time to meet with them and have some coffee and, further my Spanish relationships and further build on how I can talk it, because I'm not that good.
That's it. We send the kid down here. He goes out, finds a beautiful Latina, and learns how to grows the colony the way he's been doing it so far. All right, that's about our time for today. I'm flying home about 12 hours south of home, so it's time to go back north.
Yep. Safe travel, Aaron, and here we go.
Woohoo!
Good stuff from Aaron. All right, what will be up next, Kenny?
Next up, Eric, we have the CGNA has a complimentary webinar called Cyber Power Systems. It's the BAS34U 24 volt or 24V product launch. It's going to be Wednesday, the 11th of April, 2 p.m. Central. So what's really cool about this is we always are looking for the important innovations, both in the hardware and software side of cybersecurity. And this reminds me of one of the previous launches we've seen from LinkSpring, but this is the Cyber Power Systems Power Management Solutions at the edge, all the way up to the data center. So it's kind of new, so I don't know much about the Cyber Power Systems. They're out of Shakopee, Minnesota, and they're a leader in power protection and management products. And they've interrupted a lot of, they've provided a lot of uninterruptible power supplies, UPS systems that were designed to protect building and industrial controls. So from this launch pad, they've introduced a cybersecurity. It's a product that they introduced at the 2018 ASHRAE Winter Conference, and that we were recently at in Chicago. And apparently it's just taken on more track, because now the CGNA is kind of, is taking a good look at them and providing that this webinar to the membership of CGNA and their contractors, which basically is the North American market at large. So please, if you have time, They will archive this webinar too, by the way. So
yeah, maybe we'll post it on Control Trends. Because I tell you what, Kenny, this is a great product. We've taken it on. Stromquist and Company at stromquist.com has taken it on. They've sort of, it seems like a simple thing, but they sort of revolutionized how you do power supply. I know the guys at HEP to use them on all their systems now. And this Dan Nergwiski, you got to say his name for me. Dan N. Very, very smart guy. And the fact that they got CG&A involved now, which is Controls Group North America, the top sort of systems integrator distributors and distributors in general in the country. So you're going to hear a lot more about this product, and we'd love to get Dan on the show to talk about it as well. So we'll see if we can't get a copy of that webinar to post if you miss it. But definitely check these guys out. Good stuff. Good stuff there, Kenny Smyers.
super.
All right.
Alrighty. So we got the next post up is
Ibicon Smart Building and Smart Integrator Summit.
It sure is, and I didn't want to get the video running, but it says Ibicon Smart Building Integrator Summit 2018, June 5th. This is an invitation only, and this is very important for our Control Trends community to understand that the Smart Building Summit, the SBIS, is a by invitation event for integrators across the country, around the world, but you must also be registered with Realcomm Ibicom first as an attendee to participate. Once you have registered for the conference, please reserve your seat by using the link below. Space is limited, so I'm sure it's being heavily hit, so that you've got to get on the stick and reserve your seat by contacting Dee Shockley, Special Events Coordinator. The phone number is there and the emails there on our post. But again, so they say that to begin with the automation of a building, all roads lead to the systems integrator. In most cases, the integrator is the organizing element that will align the industry solutions with the goals and objectives of the client. So this is really where it's happening. And you and I have done a lot of talking. And, I always think about how we try to explain, major things like, the common aquifer. Like if we have this, we'll be talking about the Niagara Summit here a little bit more.
Whoa. The common what?
The common aquifer. In other words,
whoa. What is an aquifer? You throwing a vocab word out to our community, Kenny?
I got two of them, but the first one is the aquifer. And it's an interesting concept that I was reading about where the Niagara has served the industry so well as a common aquifer because it provides such great insight to the different levels. You have different types of aquifers that are embedded in rock and have to be drilled through. You have the artesian well style where you get the water from under the ground, but it all comes from a common aquifer. So this is the source of information. So I was looking at an analogy, since we're going to be down at the Niagara Summit, which again, I don't want to talk too much about that right now, but the concept is that the way our information releases in the industry is people access it from different points, but it's all a common aquifer. So when I was making this analogy up with this little thing I was writing about what Niagara did, the Niagara framework is the common aquifer for integration for our industry, because it was accessed by the OEMs. You had the different people, Distech, Honeywell, Johnson, Linkspring, all hitting into that serious Niagara aquifer. And then you have the master systems integrators, then you have the systems integrators, then you have distribution, the building automation distribution. We're all hitting this common aquifer. So what do you think about that for an analogy?
I think it's an oxymoron to me. Aqua, water, fire, doesn't make sense to me at all, dude, man. Come up with a different vocab word. What's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you, Kenny? Give you 1 week off, and man, you go searching the dictionary for vocab words.
Hey, the ball's on your court, dude. Hit it back. No, anyhow, so the summit is incredible because this is how information gets disseminated. Again, this is how we take the potential energy of all this great innovation and technology. It gets disseminated on a very rapid basis, vibrational densification. It spreads out.
Vibrational densification. Okay. All right, Kenny, what have you been drinking this morning, buddy? Come on, man.
No,
what have you been drinking?
I'm trying to figure out.
No more Starbucks for you.
Well, you know what? That is true. I do have a pretty potent cup of coffee here, but I'm trying to figure out how we spread information and how technology is distributed and how it has to hit different levels at the same time and have different impacts. But
we've got a great metaphor for that, man. Just a cyber virus, baby.
Cyber virus,
man. It just hits all things, man. at
Was
this
it a
time.
cyber virus or a fiber virus?
Well, why don't we call it a mammoth legend virus, man? Just get it out there. But the point being, man, a couple points here, and I don't mean to bust you because I really like the Aquafire. Actually, I probably would use that with my 5-year-old daughter and see if I can stump her with that. She knows more vocab words than I do right now. Is Realcomm Ibicon is where you got to be. And I think we actually, don't we have some sort of a discount for people to be able to register on that? So you got to go to Realcomm Ibicon first, which is where all the customers come,
Right.
with all the technology and all the great conversation. And that is going to be an event that's definitely going to be worth checking out, Kenny. So we want people there. And then if you're a systems integrator on top of that, the bonus, the cherry on the ice cream sundae is the Building Integrator Summit. I mean, you get to go to that. And I mean, it's like you get to sort of peer into the future, what's happening now, what's going to be happening from the creme de la creme.
Mm-hmm.
The aquifers of our industry are all going to be there. So you got to go. But don't we have a discount form if they sign up, if they haven't?
Yes, we do. We have a code. It's a Control Trends code, and we don't have it to post yet, but what we have is we're collecting the information. So please contact us at controltrendscontact@gmail.com. We have it there. We're working with Realcomm, Jim Young and Lisa Woods to get our code, but yes, they are going to avail a code for us. And they know that the Control Trends community is going to be very interested and heavily participate in it. And to your point, so there's 4 days. So it goes from June 4th to June 8th. And so the different people will certainly want to be there early to attend these different functions. And the systems Smart Building Integrator Summit is very important for master systems integrators.
Yes.
And I would, and then you have the boot camp for the users and the people that are the end users that really need to get their, catch up over a course of a year and see what's going on, and you can do it quickly there. And then you have the actual Realcomm Ibicon. So the Ibicon starts first, then Realcomm, then there's a visitation. So there's just so much to do, and so it's a
the visitation is they've actually got sites you can go to where people have taken the technology and just ramped it up. So when Kenny's saying the visitation, it's
June 8th. So that, I mean, and you have to register for this stuff. So the important thing is that you got to take it in stride, but you got to move forward. And I had another concept where this is where we see the industry go from our kind of like a stale moment or at rest. And then when you go to these shows and these great summits, you get this innovation and great ideas. So these become, they go into motion, they get implemented. And to Jim Young, and when we talked about his interview, was the pushback is there's really no reason for pushback. Everything's there. It's just a matter of getting somebody engaged and having them come back as messengers, as the people that understand it now and go back to their organizations and make those changes, slowly but surely.
Profits. But so a couple of predictions I'll make. If you've never been to a Realcomm Ibicon conference, if you go, it will not be the only one you go to.
Right.
The other prediction I'll make is if you go to one of these, you will learn stuff you probably have never heard of, and there's a really distinct possibility you'll come away with some new customers because the real estate people are there in mass to learn about the technology and to learn from each other. And they're also there looking for partners to implement this technology. So it's just something you cannot miss if you're serious about being in this business. And I'm wondering if that fruit company that has the invisible stat, if they'll be there. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, that's great point to market from. Yes, because they do have a vendor show that is one of a kind because it has the leading innovations, but not just from the building automation and building management, but from all technologies. For the first time we saw the drone presentation, which is going to continue to make impacts that will, it doesn't come directly at us. It's not a boiler, a chiller, or whatever. It's not a building automation protocol, but this technology is going to impact our industry because it is going to be deployed. It's going to be using that smart IoT drone to connect to your maintenance program, so it does a monthly inspection of your fence line. One of the great applications I've seen for drones now is back in the old days when I was in physical security at the Air Force, I worked in security police operations, and one of the most tedious but most relentless jobs was to walk the perimeter fence once a week. So that'd be like a 5-mile walk in certain cases. Different bases have different sizes, but you're looking for trees that fell down on the outrigger of the fence, or you have, somebody cut a hole in the fence. The only way to physically examine that was to have a human, body walk, around the perimeter, literally eyeballing the fence. Well, now, guess what? Because a lot of those fences aren't alarmed. If it's in a restricted area, it's alarmed. And of course, you touch the fence, they've already known you're there. But when you cross the clearing zone, but the perimeter fences for the non-restricted areas, the controlled areas or such, you'll find some kids will cut a hole in the fence, and if you don't check the fence every when it's required by the regulation, then you get surprised there by a major inspection, because some IG inspector does walk that fence line and he will write you up. No, anyhow, sorry, a drone now can do that and do it quickly and do it effectively. And it's just an extraordinary labor saving. So, I mean, all these great ideas are coming into play, Yeah. So we saw, parking lot keys being delivered to people. We saw, maintenance inspections on clogged drains up on roofs and things like that. But I mean, the ideas are just, unlimited ideas or in potential. So, but all that's coming at us, and you see them at this Realcomm show that you wouldn't ordinarily bump into.
Well, I love the robots, man. Last time if you go back and see what we did last year, we actually interviewed some of the robots there at the. That
was extraordinary. That was the first time I really saw it. I mean, we saw it in the movies. You see, with the Jetsons. You saw, all right, the thing's been plugged for 50 years, but to actually go to Realcomm and bump into a computer that stands there and says, "How can I help you?" Or the woman receptionist. Remember, you were giving her trouble. You're trying to stump her. She was somewhere far away, and she was our local reception, our concierge.
Yeah. Well, I think the point being, Kenny, is that Jim Young, Howard Berger, and Lisa Woods, the people that put Realcomm Ibicon together, I mean, it's space age stuff. And it's going to be a great location again this year. It's going to be the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. It's going to be a good time. But it's just, like I said, there's a couple of conferences you just can't miss, and this is one of them. So
it's a labor of professional love, So it's really good stuff.
LOPL. LOPA. It's a LOPA.
A labor of professional love. There we go. All right. In the news, Optigo pioneers the edge to cloud network.
Well, hang on a second, Big Doug. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you missed the opportunity for people to advertise in the Project Haystack 2018.
I did that on purpose because we had just talked about Project Haystack, but okay.
Yeah, well, you want to go in order, don't you, man? Because we want to be very, I was going to come up with a vocab word, but it lost me.
Methodical?
Redditite or something like that.
Erudite.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Erudite training, teaching. Okay, you're right. So the deadline's approaching for advertisement in the Project Haystack Spring 2018 Connections magazine. And we, as you mentioned earlier, we've got some great professional minds behind this operation, this Project Haystack. I mean, it goes all the way to Brian Frank, John Petsy, Mark Peacock, and now you're getting some other really strong players in there. You got Robin, you got Therese. But what we're seeing now is that there's an opportunity. They have over 8,000 known readers read the Project Haystack Connections. So this quarterly publication, the 4th edition is coming out, and they have the opportunity to market just so like any other organization, they provide benefit to the members. And one of the great opportunities is to get your products, how you implement and how you deploy Project Haystack. Now you have the great opportunity to put it into the publications that will be read by potentially 8,000 people. And it's a very esoteric group. I mean, these aren't people that are riding buses, looking for washers and dryers. These are people in the industry looking for opportunities to take advantage of the Project Haystack advancements and innovations.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's I don't think Project Haystack's ever going away. And I think, you just, as one of my teachers, Marshall Thurber, used to say, there are two types of change: the cyclical change, which goes up and down. And your strategy in cyclical change is you just wait for the trend to change, or you try to time it. Or there's structural change. In other words, once the computer came along, the typewriters days were numbered. So you just have to embrace a cyclical change, a structural change. And I think Project Haystack, you got to embrace it. So that's one thing. Advertising, Therese Sullivan, buildingcontext.me, special shout out to her. She does the magazine, does a marvelous job with it. So it's visually a stunning type thing to look at. It's the type of thing, if you just walk around, you're going to look cool holding it. And, and the other thing we like to say, if in this market where people have less attention span, you have to be easily found. And this is a great place to be easily found. Just as reasonable advertising dollars. And I think it's worth checking out. So for sure, check that out. And now, Kenny Smyers, let's get to Peng Yao and Optical.
Well, what's really interesting is this is one of the times where we've had multiple posts from the same organization or near the same organization. So,
well, hang on, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. So this is a shout out to everybody, because if you're wondering why your stuff isn't getting posted on Control Trends, it's because you're not sending it to us. So the people, we sort of have a policy that if you're in the controls industry and if you're not bashing somebody else, but if you got something legitimate to post, you send it to us. We will put it on Control Trends, period, end of story. And, and that is something I reach out to marketing people over and over and over again, said, just send it to us. We'll put it up. We've got a huge viewership. The people that send us the stuff, keep sending us the stuff because they're getting results from it. They're getting leads, people coming to them through Control Trends. So really and truly, Kenny, I'm surprised we don't get 5 or 10 or 15 posts a day from vendors going, would you please put this up? Would you please post it? Can we come on your show?
We actually do, but they're not in our industry directly. In other words, we get people selling water heaters and whatever, coming to Control Trends, because we're media, we're registered media. So we get, from the benefit of HR.
Kenny, I'm talking about the people that.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So our Control Trends community, go out there and root for your team to have your marketing people. And we have people with great marketing staffs or whatever, and they're not tied yet to the Control Trends community because for some reason, they might have a policy or something. But so some people wonder why certain people they have no coverage or visibility on Control Trends. It's because the marketing folks haven't reached out, basically.
Right. And so that is technically called a velvet admonishment given by the man, the myth, the legend. Good job, Kenny. Send this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Dang. All right. Well, you hit the ball back. I'm due for one now. I'll get the next one.
All right.
So anyhow, with the in the news, Optico pioneers the edge to cloud network with visual backnet capture tools. It's a groundbreaking innovation that gives visibility across the network for centralized cloud-based management. And that's a mouthful for sure. And now we're seeing some hardware. So we actually see, some hardware that says it's a backnet capture tool. But as you and I both know, we've seen several webinar presentations where what does this mean? I mean, to go into a facility where you're the next integrator coming on, if you don't have the means to tell the user what the condition of his network is now, you could become liable or they'll make you responsible for the network, even though you inherited it or basically took over a very mismanaged network that is. Things are dropping offline, one network's fallen down and you can't, so if you could go in there and advance with a tool that could give you diagnostic presentation, give you a graphic illustration of what the network strength is at the time that you took the job over, you would be protecting both your interests and advising the user where things are at. And then, when and also when you put something onto the network, you can see the impact. So you can basically do a lot of monitoring and management once you have the tool that brings the visualization to bear.
That's a cool thing, and it helps you troubleshoot your backnet. Like you say, if you got backnet problems, you can visually troubleshoot it. Cool product, cool guy. We like Peng Yao a lot. Peng, we'd love to get you on the show again. We haven't seen you in a while, and I'm sure we'll see you at ROCOM, IBCOM, but yeah, reach out and let's get you on the show. And that is a cool product, Kenny, for sure. And speaking of cool guys, who's the coolest kid in the class that we know?
That might be, now you jumped ahead. See, what comes around goes around.
What are you talking about? What's our next post?
It's Link Spring.
Yeah. Who's the coolest kid in the class?
I thought you said Ken St. Clair was the coolest kid in the class.
Ken Sinclair says he's the coolest kid in the class. Now he's Crocodile Dundee Sinclair. We'll talk about him in a minute.
I know.
What about Mark Peacock?
Okay. Well, you
know that Odell Beckham Jr. calls Mark for marketing advice.
I believe that.
I heard that on April 1st as well.
Well, he's like Dennis Rodman. He needs to know what hair color to go with next season because
Right. That's
he got to
right.
change it up. Yeah,
But Mark keeps him in line. So
bring in
good
a new
stuff.
die. Well, then I apologize. I got second answer wrong today, so I got five more. LinkSpring is expanding our technology solution partner channel, and this is big news because it's a pretty bold step forward. But LinkSpring feels so confident at what they're introducing. As they said, these are exciting times happening at LinkSpring. If you are a building facility integrator or contractor, now is the time to join our technology solutions partner program. And we all know LinkSpring is making inroads, have made inroads for many years, and worked with several OEMs, and our customers are bumping into the LinkSpring version of the Niagara framework, and then really taken the initiative on bringing the Niagara to the edge. At the last AHR show, LinkSpring popped everybody's eyes open at their booth when they showed that they had this incredible deployed Niagara. So it was kind of cool. They've got some formidable stuff. They got a great staff. Mr. Ryan there keeps everything going. He's a great customer support. LinkSpring.
Well, of course, you remember Terry Swope, the president of LinkSpring, such a cool guy. He plays blues guitar, and he did an intro for me and Kenny once. Remember that, Kenny, for the show where he
sure did. That was amazing. Yeah, it was cool.
Good. It was good stuff there. So we keep endeavoring to get Mark Peacock on the show, but when we reach out to LinkSpring, they say you got to get hold of Mark's agent to schedule an appearance, and his agent is Odell Beckham Jr. So those guys apparently got each other's back. So there you go. All right,
well,
now we can get to Crocodile Dundee Sinclair.
So, Ken, we love you, babe. We keep promoting it. You went from the number one guy in the classroom to Crocodile Sinclair.
Crocodile Dundee Sinclair, because he's been said, down under in Australia for
30 days. He said in an email he can't wait to get back on the block up there in British Columbia, because I think when you go away for a long period of time and your work starts massing up, and even though he's retired, he's probably one of the busiest guys we know, because he's traveling all over the world. He's part of a lot of groups and committees. He's really the leading edge guy in the industry as far as really letting the new technologies bother him and try to facilitate and forecast what's going to happen, what the impacts are. And I don't think anybody spends as much time as Ken St. Clair trying to figure it all out. So the IoT, artificial intelligence, machine to machine, programming and self-learning. And so now he came up with what he calls another annoying alliteration. And that's an alliteration by itself. Anytime you use the same letter to start the word in succession, that's an alliteration, right? So he has a metamorphing mashup. I had to look that up. I had to be honest with you. There's metamorphing is actually a term used in several industries, but Ken's looking out for our building automation and building, the automated buildings people. He says, as always, this new edition is a nest of great articles. So I got a kick out of that. That's another throwback within the industry. Nest, as in Nest thermostat, or the Nest concept, nesting of great articles, columns.
Wordplay there.
Exactly. I mean, the guy's amazing, huh? He doesn't even know. He's not even trying, and he's getting these additional. That's what they say about a great artist and a great writer. I mean, people see something in it that you didn't even see. That wasn't what you were aiming at, but you won't say no to it.
And rumor has it that his legal people are going to sue this fruit company he said they'd be okay if they called it the K-stat, but the I-stat, because they took so many of Ken's ideas. So, but the invisible stat should be the K-stat, the Ken stat. But anyway.
So we'll call it the MASH stat. Mashup stat. MASH stat. No, it doesn't sound good. All right. So now what the heck is metamorphing? What's a metamorphing mashup? Well, Ken describes it again, yet is another annoying alliteration, but we all know there's gold in them hills, and start digging, because as I began reading some of the articles, again, it was another great month of editorial contributions. But Ken says, I believe that this mashup and new metamorphic thinking will evolutionize how other industries will connect their standards, open movements, and expose them to the power of artificial intelligence, making all that we have matching making all that we have machine readable, unraveling on our transition to self-learning and a self-creation world. So some big stuff going on there in Ken's Automated Building April edition. We're going to have Ken on next week, I believe, or the week after. He's been traveling, but there's some really good articles. I'll tell you, the one that Mark Peacock did was talking about Mark a lot, but I really liked his OT and IT, the Hiring Elite Controls Talent, another great article by Skip Freeman, BASA Solutions, Occupancy Analytics, James McHale, who we know of. We have What is Your Haystack Tagging Story by Tree Sullivan, George Thomas, Show Report, Light Building. He went to Light Building 2018. Web-Centric Building Management by Gordon Eshlin, Triacta. Sensing Solutions for the Flexible Workspace, David Rodelman. And Standard Semantic Tagging by Jim Meacham of Altura Associates. So some really
good stuff.
So yeah, really good stuff. So we're looking forward to.
We missed the crocodile, man. We missed the crocodile. We missed Crocodile.
So let me get that right. Crocodile Dundee St. Clair.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the movie Crocodile Dundee, man?
I love Crocodile Dundee. Of course.
Modern day Crocodile Dundee. I mean, he kind of looks a little bit like Paul Hogan, too.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. That was one of my favorites.
There you go. You got it. You got it. And that's not alliteration. All right, buddy. Well, listen, we're sort of winding down here. Cybersecurity, man. Two of the smartest guys on cybersecurity coming up. Our boy, Fred Gordy and Ron Victor. So that's in Ken's calendar coming up on April 12th.
Yeah, it's a good one, too, because, again, Fred Gordy's nuts and bolts. He's one of the godfathers of cybersecurity as it applies to OT. He was the one that really, truly took us into the fold. I remember it was at your office down in Atlanta, and that was what 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it really made so much sense that we were pointing all our attentions at the wrong, not necessarily the wrong topics, but the wrong directions. In other words, we listed cybersecurity as the top trend. I would believe it was 2015. It was Orlando, because we gave out Cybersecurity Awards to Fred Gordy and Mark Peacock for the LinkSpring Pro, the Cyber Pro. Because one was basically hardware and one was software, but it was to take our industry a step forward and give everybody some kind of a, what are we going to do about this octopus of danger, and Fred Gordy actually gave us a list to put on your refrigerator that you could take to every single work center, every single break room, and put it on these places to make every single employee aware of their individual requirement to be part of a cybersecurity defense, and began with passwords. Began with very basic thing when employees left the company, and so it was a really good laundry list. I call it a quick reaction checklist, so that when something happens. But he also warned us that you got to have a plan in place so if something happens, that you minimize minimize brand damage. Have something going on. You have to have a point of contact that should have a checklist of what to say and what not to say. Should have all kinds of, kind of pre-written, responses, because as we know now, everybody's got hit. Since those days, all the big Fortune 500s have spent the most money, to include the city of Atlanta. You guys get free from your bondsman there yet? I
think so. Yeah, they wanted 51,000 in Bitcoin.
There we go. Yeah. Could you imagine if somebody told you that somebody was going to hold Atlanta to ransom, ransomware? You just said, "What are you talking about?" And here we go. 3 years later, you actually, played it out. But so it's not going to stop.
I tell you what, dude. At our household, you know how it is. When you were little, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so Evie, my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, she's going to have an all-girls band called Evie Grace and the Greystones, and Axel's going to be a hacker, man, a cyber crook. So
a white one, a white hat.
We're showing him like Invisible, Despicable Me, and all those shows. So no, the white ones don't make any money. No, he's going to be the Jesse James of the cyber world. So I'm going to have Fred Gordy teach him everything.
Well, then you got to go see. You got to go see Ready Player One. Did you see it yet?
I haven't seen it yet, but for Ready Player One, I think Player One's Ken Sinclair, right?
No, it'd probably be more, somewhere like, oh gosh,
the Billy the Kid.
No, Jason Houck.
Jason Houck. Okay.
Yeah, he'd probably be the
So
closest.
our new
real-
nickname for him will be Ready Player One. Okay.
yeah, well,
Good.
but it's a great. It's not quite the same as a book, but it still was prodigious effort to.
Right. And Ron Victor, of course, from Iodium, they have some great hardware. He's another brilliant guy. Those two guys together it would be a little bit like having Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney do a concert together.
Yep. Well, still time. Yeah, still like still got Mick still kicking it, and Paul McCartney's he's still on tour, I think. But anyhow, we got some neat people coming. Willie Nelson's coming to Pittsburgh again. We saw Willie Nelson and Van Morrison last year, and that was in where was that? Hershey, PA. Now they're coming to Pittsburgh, so that's going to sell out quick. All right. Well, anyhow, we're digressing. Next up is the April 9th, 2018 IoT Day. Well, this was sent to us by Ken St. Clair, Crocodile Dundee St. Clair, because he's going to, he's playing a very global role now. He's going to different, these summits that are in Norway, right? Or is it it's a Scandinavian summit. Finland. So Ken's representing, our communities over there, because he's bringing the stuff that we talk about, mash up, on a monthly basis. It's caught international acclaim. And there was a recent post that Tree Sullivan made us aware of that it was in a French publication, the French contracting publication that's for France, I'm sure, and French-speaking Canadian parts of Canada now are getting Ken St. Clair's articles are translated into French. So that shows that somebody's paying attention, right?
No, absolutely. Again, Ken's brilliant. He's one of the brilliant guys. So that's worth checking out. And then, Kenny, where are we going to be next week? We'll get to our final post here, and I think it all ties together. We are going to be down in New Orleans, and we are going to be celebrating with the other event you can't miss, which is the Niagara Summit. So talk about our next post and where we're going to be next
I'd love to. And that's where I was, that's where I came in with the idea about the common aquifer. I mean, I really do. We spend a lot of time and we make light of it, and we try to make the show interesting and everything. But the real life is the realities are that we have experienced probably the most disruptive 2 years to our industry in a long, long time. There's been challenges across all the channels, but distribution channel is under siege from these great these fulfillment centers, and we have learned through various leadership people like Scott Cochran, like Brian Turner, like some of the other folks, and we now know that there's at every menacing threat there's an opportunity. So the opportunities are what we need to focus on, not who moved to cheese and we're out of our sweet spots and nobody wants to engage in new technology and innovation. Well, this Niagara at the Edge is what I consider to be the Niagara being the common aquifer that introduced all of us, like you say about Ed Merwin.
Hang on. You mean the technology crucible, Kenny?
Well, I like that too, but I came up with common aquifer, so I'm sticking with it. Okay. Well, look at the Crucible. That's an interesting one because that's a great book of a different.
Keep going. I'm sorry, buddy.
But anyhow, the reality is that the people that are going to be there that access the Niagara framework come from different walks of life, different markets. You have OEMs there. You have the King Master System Integrator sessions there. You've got the systems integrators that work their respective OEMs, whether they're Johnson's version, Distex, Vicon, Honeywell Webs. They're all going to be there. And this is where they go to get the latest. In fact, you know what? Mike Westerfield made a video and we posted it. And it's only like 1:13 seconds long. But he's excited. The Tritium folks are excited. They're holding on to something, a powerful release of information. He says that if you need to convince your boss, just copy and paste below and start looking for flights to New Orleans.
Well, real quick, Kenny, tell our listeners who might not know who Mike Westerfield is, real quick, who he is. Give us some stable data.
Well, Mike Westerfield, he's basically the senior project manager at Tritium, but he does everything. I mean, he's good at everything, but he's the senior product manager at Tritium. But if you worked on any beta sites with Tritium, Mike runs that. He works hand in hand with Jenny Graves, the director of marketing, vice president of marketing at Tritium. So he's got, like, responsibilities that go across all the spectrums, and he's a very smart guy. He's the guy that he works with his team to figure out all the bugs that invariably when you have, like, Microsoft going 7 and 10, Windows, just you got all these, you have issues that aren't really on your plate that you got to deal with. That requires a lot of dexterity and a lot of work and a lot of research. And Mike puts I've had to communicate with Mike, and he's 24/7. He's around the world.
Nice.
He's always traveling, so he's always calling from the airport or telling you.
So he's uniquely qualified to be in this video talking about the summit, why you should be there.
Well, he gives you the reasons why you should go. There's a reasons why. I will have a chance to learn about the latest innovations at the Niagara framework. In the Niagara framework, I will learn to optimize the use of Niagara platforms through expanded application possibilities, lower costs, increase efficiencies, and maximize integrations. I will attend engineering keynote sessions from industry leaders and experts. I will walk away with a clear, informed strategy for our Niagara solutions and my own professional growth. And if you have any more questions, give Mike a call or give him an email, because
just sign up and go.
There you go.
Right, if you're not already going, because man, it's going to be a great time. And Scotty Cochran, our friend's got a masquerade ball going on one night before that. It's just festive. I mean, last time we went, Jenny Graves had a parade going on. It was right in front of the Superdome. It's a place you got to go to see and be seen, I think.
Well, I have one more plug too. Intessus, you all saw Intessus, but they're a member of the HMS Group. Is pleased to announce the addition of DMS Controls Group to its North American distribution network.
Nice,
and,
congratulations.
So we're pretty excited because the Intessus box is designed specifically for air conditioner integration. Integration protocols support the KNX, BACnet, ASCII, InOcean, Modbus, LawnWorks, OPC, Wi-Fi, and we are excited because we're able to put these gateways now where we would say no to that business previously because we didn't have any real knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's another lateral move inside of our channel to ensure our survivability and to sustain the distribution channel. So we're pretty excited about that.
Congratulations, Kenny. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, dude, you remember you're talking about going back to Vegas, and you remember in Vegas, Kenny and I we had a Control Trends Awards there one year. We were just wiped out, and they had this thing. All these people hooked up to these IVs, all these athletes and all that stuff. So basically they had these bags and they put all these vitamins and stuff in them and they hook you into your arm. And remember, we felt really awesome after that. So
we got shots. We got the B12 fortification.
We got the B12 plus we got the
what
drip.
was the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't remember what's it called. I took your advice, Eric. If Eric said it was good, I went with it because I was.
So and I think there's sort of an analogy here that with why you should go to Niagara, why you should go to, I'm leading up to that, why you should go to Niagara, why you should go to Rocom, Ibicom, because certain things just don't mix together. So there's a place in Atlanta I've been going to called VitaFlow, and I go once a week, and they basically put the drip bag in, and I get all the vitamins and nutrients to get hydrated and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing I do. The second thing I've been doing is this thing called Cryo Therapy. And essentially what you do with cryotherapy, you get in this big chamber and they drop you down to about 140 degrees below zero for
you start crying.
3 minutes. Well, you cry, but what's interesting about it is that it's apparently really good for your system, everything, all your organs suck all the blood in like you're getting ready to die, and then it comes back out. So it sort of purges. There are a bunch of benefits from it, okay? So this is what you have to be careful of in a world where you have so many different technologies. And this is why you need to go to Rocom Ibicon and the Niagara Summit, because all of a sudden I start going to get my VitaFlow stuff, and they keep putting the needle in, which I hate that. So it hurts like hell. They put the needle in, and then about 5 minutes through, they go, oh, the vein didn't take it, valved off, and they have to pull it out. They put it in another vein. So you get stuck 3 or 4 times before they finally get it, right?
Yikes.
So what we discovered the last time this happened, I got to thinking about it because the nurses go, well, what did you do before this? Well, I went to my cryotherapy thing. She goes, oh my gosh, of course that's why this is happening, because the ice causes your veins to constrict and get smaller. So now we put the needle in, it's not catching. So there you go. So if you don't want to get stuck too many times in the wrong places and feel a lot of pain, go to these events.
Oh, I thought, you still got something there. Let me try to help you out there on but you get fortified. So not only do you find the right veins, you don't miss your veins because you did the wrong sequence, but you go and you get bolstered by this incredible fortification of knowledge and technology and innovation.
Well, it's unreal. And then, but it is. But you got to keep up with the technology, especially when you get to be older, like me and Kenny, right? So somebody turned me on this guy named Wim Hof, Vimhof. Have you ever heard of this guy?
No.
So I've been doing the the Cryo Therapy for a while, but this guy Wim Hof climbed Mount Everest in a pair of shorts and no shirt, no oxygen, and tennis shoes. They call him the Iceman. Okay, but what he does, he's basically got these breathing techniques where you get your systems oxygenized, and you get exposed to cold. And he's saying that over time, it's really good for your system. It really helps your cardiovascular system and all that. So he's an interesting cat. So anyway, man,
if I ever come back, I'm going to try that again. If I get round 2 or something, but round 1, that's not going to happen. I don't even want to watch that.
No, dude, it's pretty cool. You take cold showers, not hot showers, and you do this breathing technique, which is pretty cool. But my point being, and literally this guy, they've studied him because it sounds almost like superhuman and too good to be true, but the doctors are studying this guy now and they're giving it validity because they'll shoot him full of viruses and crap and he won't get sick. And they'll take a group of people, and stuff that has them sick for like 2 hours or something like that. But then they'll have people, then they'll do other people get sick. Then they'll take those same people, wait a couple of weeks. They'll come in and they'll do his breathing technique and do his ice technique, and they'll shoot them full of the viruses and they won't get sick the next time. So my point being is that you just sort of never know where the next big thing's going to be, the technology. And it's not necessarily always going to make sense, but what you have to be open to things as they change. Otherwise, you get left behind and maybe you get sick, and maybe you're one of the ones that gets the virus instead of one of the ones who doesn't. And with that, Kenny Smyers, I think we're done.
I'm still digesting it. Hold on. Still catching up. I'm getting rid of the image of the gym shorts and bare-chested Mount Everest. That's still.
You see these videos. He's got these people. People pay him money. They go to this. He's from Amsterdam, I think. And you see these people, and they'll come in and they do the breathing. Although they put them in these ice baths in the wintertime.
Well, the Tibetan monks, I saw them walk out of their temple and go into the snow and sat down cross-legged, and they spent 24 hours or something.
That's where I'm going, dude. I got the haircut. My name is Kane, man. I used to love it. Our listeners out there who don't know, there was a show called Kung Fu back when Kenny and I were growing up about this Shaolin monk, right?
Grasshopper.
David Carradine played him, and he was the coolest guy ever. But yeah, they could do all this superhuman stuff. That's what I'm about now, man. I'm gonna do this superhuman.
Remember, we were in Buffalo, Niagara Falls, and we saw the Dalai Lama.
That's
you
right.
Didn't believe me? And I said, guys, come on, look. So this is all going somewhere. I know it is. This all has a thread that's destined to end somewhere.
We will tie all these links together on next week's show.
All right.
But until then, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers. You've been watching Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. If you like us, tell a friend. If you didn't like us, tell an enemy. Just tell somebody. We appreciate you. So remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and stay chilling.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.
Another heartbreak, but it's time to let it go.